Right, what's up? So this is the first in the video part series I'm going to do on YouTube, which is going to be Road to the British or Road to the Pro card, however you want to look at it. So I'm just going to take you guys through a little bit of background information, how I got into the sport, my competitive history, that sort of thing, before I start dropping workout videos, so you kind of got something to go off. So yeah, first of all, I was never really into sports much as a kid. I did skateboarding a little bit when I was younger, when I was a teenager, but nothing else than that. I wasn't really into football or nothing like that. So I joined the gym when I was 17. I joined with a gym with a couple of mates. They got bored pretty quick and left after about a month or so. Like, we weren't doing any sort of serious training, it was just arms and cardio, that sort of thing. Nothing serious. So then it wasn't until about a month later I picked up my first Flex magazine, which sounds very generic, I know, because that's kind of how a lot of bodybuilders get into bodybuilding or competitive bodybuilding, is through magazines. And I remember it was a white front cover with Johnny Jackson on the front, and it had a Dorian Yates handbook inside of it. And from that point on, I was kind of obsessed straight away. I was waiting straight into 6 meals a day, structured training. I was following everything the Flex magazine told me to do, which is quite funny actually, because it's the same magazine that got Luke Sandoe into bodybuilding. It's exactly the same issue. So it's quite depressing really, because now he's placing third at the Arnold and in prep for the Olympia, and I'm still trying to get my pro card. So he's doing a lot better than I am, put it that way. So fair play to Luke. So anyway, so that was it. Followed that down to a T. Then I trained at commercial gym for probably about 5 years, I think. I had a lot of good training partners on the way, to be fair, that pushed me hard. They didn't have the mindset that they wanted to compete, but they were very serious about the training. Although I always wanted to compete, I kind of never really made it vocal to any of my friends or anything like that, because when you're 17, 18, the last thing you want to do is tell your mates that you want to get on stage and get in a pair of pants in fake tan and start posing, because it sounds a bit weird, to be honest. So you know they're just going to tear you to shreds for it. So I kept that one quiet for a couple of years, or a year or so, and then I was quite vocal about it afterwards. So that was it. And then my actual competitive journey didn't start till I joined Primitive in 2012, where Ryan had just opened the gym. It was very basic at the time, and he had some dumbbells, barbells, that sort of thing. Very minimal equipment, but you know, the atmosphere was good. Ryan was very helpful at the time. I told him I wanted to compete. I remember I wanted to do the UKBFF Dorchester show, but he told me not to kind of do the smaller show, maybe do a bit of a bigger one like the Portsmouth, because the standard's higher. Like, I knew I always wanted to do UKBFF because at the time I had the highest standard. It was kind of the best federation. I kind of wanted to get my face shown in that scene, because eventually it led to the pro card, and I thought I'd be competing against the best. So cut a long story short, I did the 2013 Portsmouth, the South Coast show, as a junior. I won that. Ryan kind of overlooked my prep. I prepped myself, but you know, Ryan just made sure I didn't make any stupid mistakes and kind of guided me to the stage. I ended up winning that, then qualifying for the British finals in October, which was in Harrogate. And I ended up placing 6th there, which was a great junior lineup. Although I went there to win, it being in the top 6 was still a great placing for me, because the way I looked at it, you know, I was still top 6 in the country in the top federation, so that was a great win for me. Andy Scott won it that year. Then it was, I can't remember the placings, it was Matt Townsend 2nd, Dave Young 3rd, Michael Haggy 4th, Owen Powers 5th, and then I was obviously 6th. So that was a great year for me. My second show, top 6 in the country. That was all good. So then I took 2014 off, made some great progress. Then come back in 2015. I went in as a intermediate heavyweight, which is where I did the Kent Classic, and Joe Binley kind of took control of my prep the last 4 weeks. Ended up winning that show quite comfortably. Then going on to the 5 weeks later, the British again, placing 3rd, which again, I went there to win it, but it was still progress in my eyes coming 3rd, because I moved up a weight class and I had, you know, improved on my British placings. So that was all good. Again, took 2016 off, Come back in 2017, which ended up to be probably my worst year competing. Well, not probably, it was my worst year competing. Just kind of everything went wrong that year. I don't know whether it was I let the work, because I started to get very busy with my personal training, my sports massage, coaching. I don't know if I kind of let that get on top of me and tried to do too many things at once, but whatever happened, it didn't work out well for my competitive scene anyway. So 7 weeks out, I stopped working with Joe Binley I did the Portsmouth again, going as a heavyweight. I stopped working with Joe Binley because I just thought I was too fat, and at that point I was stubborn. I wanted to do the prep on my own. Probably did too many fat burners, too much cardio, overtrained, ended up coming in a shadow of what I should have been, and I placed second at a qualifier, which for me was kind of a big hit on my ego, because I was used to winning all the qualifiers up until that point that I'd done. So placing second wasn't a great sort of feeling for me. So I ended up throwing my tools out the pram a little bit, and although I wasn't vocal about it and I didn't state that, that's kind of what I was thinking in my head. You know, I shouldn't have lost a qualifier. So I thought I'd get some redemption at the British in 2017, which is where somehow I made it even worse. Although I had a good prep leading up to the British, in the last 2 weeks I kind of fell apart again. My physique just wasn't responding. I ended up coming in very flat, my tan was off. In fact, that's the one time on stage I think I just didn't want to be there. I was miserable on stage. I placed in the top 5, although I wish they just not placed me, because again, like I said, I didn't want to be there. So that was it after that. I kind of was thinking, okay, maybe I'm done with competing now. I've had enough of it. Took 2018 off. That was a great year for me, got married, had a load of nice holidays. Again, business was getting better. So then I come back this year, 2019. So that was the kind of pattern I had actually, was compete 1 year, take a year off, compete, take a year off, compete. So I was constantly making progress every time I stepped on stage. So yeah, come back this year, started working with Chris Aceto in, I think we're 10, 11 weeks out of the Ben Wader Classic, where I ended up placing second. And that was a big game changer working with Chris, because Chris, one of his kind of specialities is bringing you in and peaking you for a show. And that's kind of my weakness. I could always get myself in condition, but it would never translate to the stage. So it was great having Chris, because he brought me in how I looked through prep. So that was a massive bonus. And like I said, placed second in an international show. There was the competition was great there, especially the top 6, some ex-British champions. Then 2 weeks later, we did the whole qualifier, which was the Nathan D'Asha Classic. I ended up winning the heavyweights there, but then losing the overall to Dan Moody, who I'm sure I'll go against in sort of 10 weeks time again. So that should be fun. And then, so that's where we are now, kind of like just over 9.5 weeks out. Very confident going to this show. I feel I'm at my best. I don't think I can be beaten. That's given that, I am completely at my best and all my kind of stars align, that sort of thing. And that's not hitting on anyone else, that's just kind of where I feel like I will place if I win. I think I can win my class and then win the overall. So again, I'm very confident going to this show. I've got a great team around me, great sponsors, my family's behind me, got Chris Aceto, so I've got real sort of no excuses really coming to this show. So that's pretty much it. That's as short and as sweet as I'll try and keep it without boring you guys too much. So the next video dropping will be a back workout filmed by Jay Davis from Magic Eye Media. He's going to be following my prep the whole way through. So you keep an eye on that. And then I'll try and update every week with a vlog about my diet, my training, that sort of thing, just to keep you guys updated. And I will do some stuff on injuries and prevention as well, because that seems to be getting a lot of good feedback. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and keep an eye out for the back video dropping next week.